Hello, everybody, and welcome to the top 5 new comics for April 23rd and 24th of 2024. As always, Chris, we got a cool slate of books to talk about, so let's dive right in, starting with Ultimate Spider-Man number 4. This is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by David Messina. Unfortunate to see a change of artist, but that's comics. I'm sure David will do a great job on it. The Ultimate Universe been phenomenal from moment one. Just really enjoyed this new reinvention of a new reinvention, to be honest. And what Hickman's doing with Spider-Man's been a blast. Like, I like the building up to him being a real superhero and kind of him fumbling his way as a man, fairly middle-aged, already experienced, done things, and then getting his powers. The moments with him and his daughter, trying to imagine what the suit will be, him finally fighting and meeting the Green Goblin, Bullseye, all these things have been phenomenal. It's been a fantastic series from the start, and I just am so excited to keep going on with the series. It's just it's unbelievable to see Hickman as the cornerstone of a new universe. Something I had hoped he would be able to do over at DC maybe, but him doing it at Marvel is even better for me, being more of a Marvel fan. And it's just been a blast. Like, if you're not picking up the Ultimate line of comics, I think it's some of the best stuff Marvel's doing, this being the top tier of them all. And they're going to be adding to it soon with new Ultimates book. Just really excited for everything they're doing with this. So make sure you're picking up Ultimate Spider-Man. If you can find the first 3 issues, do so. If not, I'm sure we're rounding a trade here soon, and you'll be able to catch up. Or if you're a digital reader, they're always available to you. Just a fantastic, fantastic book that is doing some cool things and really changing status quos for Spider-Man, not just doing another Spider-Man book, but really trying to do something different with that character. I've been loving it from day one, so everybody should definitely check it out. After that, got Batman Dark Age number 2. This is written by Mark Russell with art by Mike Allred. I really love this first issue. It was such a weird departure from everything Batman we've read. Instead of being this kid who's very disciplined and wants to go avenge his parents and take out crime and everything, we meet this kid who went through this tragedy and is really scarred by it and becomes just not a good person through it. And while doing so, makes a lot of mistakes, is very spoiled through his riches, and is making his way, but somewhere along the way gets screwed once again out of his legacy by not being able to take over Wayne Enterprises and ends up heading to jail over it. It is a little weird to be a Batman book with very little Batman, but the story that these two are telling with this just brings me in on everything. First, the Mike Allred art. I mean, Allred kills on everything he does. Him and his wife Laura have been doing books together for decades now, and if he's doing art in the book, it's worth picking up just for that alone. I love his style. I think he was really the birth of the pop art style, at least in terms of popularity, and he continues to do a great job with it throughout it. And this book really pushes his style further and adding so much more detail and so much more background work and really veering away a lot from action and doing these really more intimate scenes throughout the book. So that first issue was great. And I always trust Mark Russell with a book. Ever since I read that Wonder Twins series he did, and for him to suck me into a Wonder Twins series is just its own mind-blowing thing. But ever since that series, I've just been in love with his work. And these 2 books he's done now with Allred at DC have been, the first one, the Space Age book, was phenomenal. This one's starting off with a blast. It's such a great Batman book. And you don't really need to know much about continuity because he's creating his own here. Like, it's its own thing. And that's another great thing. If you're not into DC or you're not caught up with DC, you don't need to know a whole lot to get into this book. You just need to kind of know who Batman is. And I feel like at this point, Batman's pop culture. Like, we all know who Batman is. So definitely worth checking out. After that, got Dick Tracy #1. This is written by Michael Moreci, Alex Segura, and Geraldo Borges, with art by, I'm sorry, Alex Borges is the artist. He's not the writer. So Michael Moreci and Alex Segura are the writers, and Geraldo Borges is the artist. I already reviewed this book, so I read it a while ago. So another one of my cheap books, but just got to be honest with what's coming out. You can go read my review on my Substack. I cannot believe how much I enjoyed this Dick Tracy book. It is very much a modern day crime noir book. A lot of action, a lot of political intrigue, gang violence, fun stuff happening, but with that classic Dick Tracy look and that classic timeline in the 40s and 50s. It starts off in a way that you just would not expect a Dick Tracy book to start off with. And from the very beginning, Mad Cave has said, this is not your father's Dick Tracy. And they prove it right in the first half of that book. Like, there's a scene that is, I could not believe was in a Dick Tracy book. Been big fans of what Mad Cave's doing. Think they've got some cool things coming down the pipeline, and going back in their catalog, just really enjoying their stuff. And this is a big turning point for them, for me personally, because to get a big IP like this and to do a series is huge. It's the difference between a small tier publisher and more of a mid-tier publisher. And them doing this and a few other books like Gatchaman, Flash Gordon is going to be huge. But as far as this book goes, it is, if you're a fan of crime books, if you're a fan of noir books, I can't speak for Dick Tracy fans because this is my first Dick Tracy book, really. But if you're a fan of those two things, it's just so worth picking up. It's a blast from start to finish. And by the time you get to the end, you'll be asking yourself, when does issue 2 come out? I promise you. Love, love, love that first issue of Dick Tracy. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts on it, go over to my Substack. I wrote a full review on it, which I'll be reposting on my Twitter here soon, as it is coming out this week. And I think I reviewed it about a month ago. After that, I've got Duke #5. This is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Tom Reilly. So I made a mistake last month thinking that Duke 4 was the final issue. I have done my research now, fixed my mistake. This is the final issue. So everything I said last week will just repeat. I've really loved Duke. It's unbelievable to me how much I'm enjoying the G.I. Joe universe right now, because I'm not a fan of G.I. Joe. But here we are. Like, and Duke's been such a blast from beginning to end. Tons of action. Great way to introduce a bunch of these characters without getting bogged down too much in like past and history and all that. You just get to know them in the moment. You get to know Duke through the events of the book. It's a great introduction to G.I. Joe as a whole. So just really love this book. Sad to see it go. But for the first time in my life, I can say that I'm excited for G.I. Joe and can't wait for the next series to come out and to see where this universe takes us. It's just been so much fun. And the Tom Reilly art is out of this world. Like, he was the perfect guy to pick up this book. He has like a bit of a cartoony style, but he does action sequences so well. His explosions pop off the page. It's a great, great series. So it's the finale. So I understand if it's tough to get it, the final book in a series. But that also means the trades down the line. So if you haven't been picking this up or you can't find the first 4 issues, I'm sure Skybound will have a trade out very soon, as they're one to do. But Duke is definitely a book you should all be checking out, without a shadow of a doubt. Then I'm going to end with 7 Years in Darkness, Year 2, Number 1. This is written and drawn by Joseph Schmalke. So I was introduced to this book actually at Terrificon a few years ago. I bought the first issue off Joseph, and I really enjoyed what he was doing. It's really just at the end of the day, I think the elevator pitch is a dark Harry Potter book. We got this school for magical people, but it's not a happy-go-lucky place. These people are not good people. A lot of the kids don't survive the training. It's very dark and grim throughout it. They're forced to wear these masks so they can't know each other very well. There's a lot of cool things going here. And what I love is that Joseph has taken the time here, and he has a 7-year plan for this book where we're going to grow with these kids throughout the 7 years and get to see the whole thing. On year 2, so not the best place to jump in, but he did do a one shot. I think it was $10, basically a trade, but it was the entire first series in like a 100-page special kind of. Think of those books in terms of how it was printed out to get you caught up, which I'm sure is easily found at most comic shops, or they can be ordered at most comic shops. And, it's a CEX book, and they're a small tier publisher, but there's some cool stuff happening to these small tier publishers, and they're worth checking out. And CEX in particular with this book just found a gem that I think if they continue with and they build and they really put their backs behind it, could be something that gives them some notability in the future, because I really, really like that first volume. It's so much fun throughout it. Like, you're going to be terrified in it. You're going to have a blast with it. It's a great book, and I cannot wait for this to come out so that I can get into year 2 and see where all of our characters land after this. So everybody, thank you so much for watching this week. As always, if you want to support me, like, subscribe, share, comment down below on this YouTube channel, this video, and that'll help us through the algorithms, all that stuff. But other ways you can do it is to find me at chriscomicscorner.substack.com, where I do all my reviews, my retro reread series, my crowdfunding spotlight. All my writings go there, completely free. Subscribe. It's a good time. We're having a blast over there. And you can also listen or watch the Fortress Comic News podcast every week on YouTube or whatever podcatcher you enjoy. If you can't find it on your podcatcher, please just comment down below and let me know, and I will get it on there for you. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all here next time.